It's time to talk business. It's Business Time with Mike Weinstein. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
All right, here's a fact. Everybody wants to be a consultant, a public speaker, and a business coach. They're everywhere. Everywhere I go. I go to these events, and that's where everybody's there to do. Learn how to become a coach. I'm like, what did you do? Have you ever succeeded? I don't know. Everybody wants to be one. But we are actually in studio, and it's a delight always to have Danny Creed, who is a true business coach, someone who has logged thousands of hours of actually coaching people, someone who has tremendous stories of how he's helped business owners. And it's like anything else, yes, you could go out and find a business coach, or you can go out and find someone like Danny Creed who knows what he's talking about and can truly help your business. Danny, welcome back to It's Business Time. I want to, before we get going, because you've got a new book, and we're gonna talk a little bit about business coaching, but I want to take you back to September 2015. You had a pretty rough 24-hour period where you had, triple bypass heart surgery and lost your mother all within a 24-hour period. So talk about that experience and what came from it for you personally as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me here today, Mike. What happened was I was actually going to Vancouver, Canada to make a speech in training other international business coaches. And we were on the Broadway curve going to the airport, and I told my wife, I said, I'm not feeling too good. I think we'll miss this flight. Just take me to the hospital. And I got there and found out, long story short, that I had about 48 hours to be on this planet. And pretty quickly they had me in surgery, 6.5 hours, and came out, survived. 4 minutes after that, my mother passed, and it was kind of crazy. And the first day of recovery, laying in the hospital, I was there 7 days. My surgeon came in and said, look, one of the big issues I have is I give people a second chance. And when I give them that second chance, they go out and blow it. They just don't honor it. They start eating cheeseburgers and smoking and doing everything they shouldn't have because they think they've got a free lease on life. He goes, I want to know what you're going to do about it. You're the kind of guy that do something about it. What are you going to do, and how you think, act, talk, walk, preach to others on business? What are you going to do? And I should have took stock in sticky notes, because I didn't have anything else to do in the hospital other than start thinking about this. I just went nuts thinking about, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And over a period of time, because once I finally got to go home, Mike, I couldn't do anything. I thought I was tough, but you can't do anything after triple bypass heart surgery. So I started making notes of what would I do? How would I think? Change how I think, talk, act. And what evolved was a whole series of items, and it turned into 11 commitments that I was going to make. And the big epiphany of the whole thing was it wasn't this big earth-shattering thing that we're going to do, like all of the books and the fads that come across in business all the time. It was really 11 basic foundational things that it isn't hard to do, but we have to master and have the discipline just to do them every day.
Well, one of the things that resulted from your experience is your new book, A Life Best Lived, a story of life, death, and second chances. So tell us about the book. Mm-hmm. Who's the book for, and what will I get out of this book?
Well, thank you. Yeah, the book is it started out just for anybody who wanted to give themselves a second chance. And that's really the theme, that anybody can get a second chance. Anybody can give themselves a second chance, and they don't have to wait to be awarded a second chance. And you can give yourself a third and fourth and fifth chance. And in turn, or you can't, or you don't want to. But if you're completely aware of whether you want to give yourself a second chance or not, if you're not, well, fine, understand that, then shut up. So then I got to thinking, well, maybe the business gods were also working with me here. So it started out with just for everyone, from that message from the surgeon, and then it evolved into really anyone in business can give themselves a second chance. As your previous speaker said, I mean, if you screwed up on your marketing, you have a chance to get it back. You have a chance to make some changes and do it. So it's really evolved on the reviews we've been getting on this. It says it's affecting not only people personally, just about anyone out there, but it really has had an effect on business people. And I've actually started coaching clients based on the principles of this. And one of the number one principle, to answer your question, is the first principle, the first commitment is that life is best lived rather than feared. And as I started going into a year-end planning last year with my clients, that was the one question we focused on. It can get pretty sophisticated when you do year-end planning.
Sure.
And all we did was sit back and I go, look, we don't have time because I went back to work late December. I said, what's the one fear that has kept you from being more successful in business and personally?
We are in studio with Danny Creed, author of A Life Best Lived. If you'd like some more information, go ahead and text the word Danny to 411-923. I'm going to send you a link to his website where you can learn more about how he can help you and help your business. I'm going to also include his name on the text message so that you can just take that, search his name in Amazon so that you can order a copy of his book. So again, text the word Danny to 411-923. Want to get that information out to you. I think it's an interesting perspective because you reach a certain point. I'm 45, 46. I gotta look at my license. I'm not sure which one. And I'm not the healthiest of eaters, and I've got 2 kids. I'm at the point in my life where I start to think about deeper things. However, I haven't got to the point yet where I really sat down and said, okay, let's really think about these deeper things. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I said, it might take a life and death experience like you to make it real, because I don't want to make necessarily changes. And it applies to us in business as well.
Absolutely.
What is it going to take something catastrophic in my business to change the way that I run my business? So what your book does and what you do is really force me as the entrepreneur to sit down and say, let's start addressing these things. Let's pretend that you had a near-death experience yesterday, and now today, what would it look like?
Well, Brian Tracy, the great Brian Tracy, business development expert, says that you can be wildly beyond your imagination successful by improving yourself 0.1% a day. So what is that? Reading one more page in a book, reading some goals, writing some goals, actually walking an extra block, versus that's giving yourself a second chance. And I'll give you an example. I have a client that was about the $500,000 mark, pretty new client, and we sat down and talked about the fear thing and really got down and dirty on the fear thing. I consider myself what you call a street fighting business coach, in that a real world business coach, in that there's not a lot of theory here. Let's get down and get dirty. I've done 14 startups. Let's get down and get dirty about it. Theory doesn't apply here anymore. And the fear that he came up with that just was huge for him is, look, I could never envision myself bigger than $1 million company. So we started working on mindset, how to get his mind to a point where he could see himself bigger than $1 million company. And so we went from $500,000 to this year we'll be close to $4 million. Huge shift, huge change, affected tons of people. But that's the one way he gave himself an extra chance, because that extra chance was then going to some seminars, working with me a little deeper on things he wouldn't talk about, like goals, being more clear on those things. Well, it's been a big deal.
And what's nice about your perspective here as we wrap this up is, okay, yeah, let's not only talk about your biggest fear, and I like that fear, because the fear is not so much, I can't imagine it, it's, I can't imagine what I got to do to get there. Yep. And so having you as a business coach as well, of now that we've identified the fear, let's lay out the plan.
That's right. Many times it's the little things that will get you the farthest through your process and reaching your goals.
All right. Glad you made it through it.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm just glad to be here. It's a pleasure.
Right. Danny Creed, author of A Life Best Lived, A Story of Life, death. And Second Chances, also a phenomenal business coach. If you were looking how to take your business to the next level, go ahead and text the word Danny to 411-923. I'm going to get you a link out to his website where you can learn about his services. I'm going to also include his full name, which you can just search on Amazon and look for his book in order. Text word Danny to 411-923. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon on It's Business Time, where we're here to grow jobs, grow the economy, and grow the great state of Arizona.